Commissioner Carl.
Here.
Commissioner Walters.
Present.
Commissioner Altman.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Burgle.
Present.
Any corrections or additions to the agenda?
Move for approval of the agenda.
Second.
Motion supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Reading of cash balances.
In the 101 general fund, we have $899,725.37. In the 516 unallocated cash balance is $94,494.74. So that gives you a total of $994,220.11 before the bills. And we still have the advance from the 911 fund of $400,000 and the tax anticipation note of $1,300,000.
Is there any public comments? No, communication. We'll come back to finance. I'm going to adjust that around later. Any communications, committee meetings? We'll do that later.
As part of reports, like there, okay.
I guess we really don't have anything. We'll go right into finance. You're up, then.
I'm up? Okay. Lieutenant Troy Rabideau has requested that deputies be allowed to attend various training meetings, and they're listed. Deputy Doyle to attend a tactical emergency casualty care on September the 16th, and the cost for that is $125. Deputies Doyle and Singano to attend the treat-focused shootings on October the 6th. The cost is $290. Deputies Gill, Goss, and McCartney to the OWI training on October the 30th. Deputy Goss to the truck traffic enforcement on January 20th to the 22nd in 2015. The cost for that is $250. And all of these training will be paid from line item 28500080400, and they will be subject to the meal reimbursement schedule. And I'll make the motion that we authorize the attendance.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Laura, our clerk will be submitting a application for a USDA funded road patrol vehicle by the end of the month, and this application will be eligible for any leftover 2014 funding or be placed on the 2015 list. And I'll make the motion to authorize Laura to move ahead with that grant application.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, in addition, there's a 2015 secondary road patrol grant due September the 1st. And I'll make the motion that we authorize Laura to write that application and submit it for. It's a $43,431 grant. It's for 2015.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
We need to amend the 911 budget to include funding for holiday and overtime expenses for 2014. And I'll make a motion to authorize the clerk and the treasurer to move $38,930 from the 216 fund to the general fund line 101-000-699-216. And this revenue will be used to offset the expense lines 101-422-706-004, $28,600 in that one, and in the 101-422-706-000, $10,300.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Now these next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items all concern Gina. So be ready to answer questions, Gina, because there's a good.
That's why I'm here.
Okay. We need to transfer $5,429.75 from the uniform and dressing line 278-000-584-000. They refer to that as the 278 fund. That goes to the Gypsy Moth Fund 239-000-671, or they refer to it as the 239 fund. And I've gone over this with Marlon and Christie, and I'll make the motion that we authorize the transfer.
Support.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You may want, on this next time, you might want to do some discussing. Gina has asked that we consider waiving the $140 data fee to the Economic Development Corp. For the map creation and for the Poker run that we just had. It's a done deal, all right. Did you waive it or did you charge them?
That was up to you guys.
Okay.
Did they sign the data share agreement?
Yes.
Then because that was what the contingency was. If they had signed that data share agreement, then I'd make the motion that we approve waiving the fee.
Support.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Gina has requested to attend the annual Michigan Camp Conferences in Boyne Mountain, September the 17th through the 19th. The cost of the membership is $25 and the lodging is $152. And this would be paid from line item 239-000-860-000. I'll make the motion to authorize the
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have a land bank issue, and this one will probably need some discussion as well. It's an information exchange for the DBAs for Beaverton and Gladwin cities. Gina, you want to explain that?
Through the Housing Commission and a grant with, from the state, they're doing some work to identify the areas in the land bank and then also in the downtown development authorities. They are choosing not to purchase the parcels in the land bank. They're just gonna do a centroid, that's fine. They are requesting to purchase the parcels that are within the downtown development authority. I would have to kind of figure out which those are because we don't have the GIS shapefile for the downtown development authority. So what we kind of were discussing is if I give them the parcels for Beaverton City and Gladwin City, or try to extract them as close as I can to those boundaries, they in return would give us the shapefiles for the downtown development authority. We don't have those. There may come a time in the future that we would need those. So I thought it would be a great benefit to exchange the data. It was, I thought something that would be
And without totally interrupting you, this also was contingent on them signing a data share agreement.
correct. Anybody and everybody that comes
Have they
forward
signed that?
signs them. Not yet, because we were waiting for the outcome of this meeting. But if that data exchange was to happen, they would sign that agreement. Yes,
And I can give you a list of those DDA parcels.
perfect,
I have all of them for both cities.
perfect.
I make a motion that we approve this subsequent to them signing the data share agreement.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is Gina needs to bring back her fall employee and hire a replacement for the one employee that can't return. The cost is, we're paying $8 per hour, and it's not a hard number on how long we'll have them, because depending on what the
Weather's
how many
like,
buses they are.
Yes, what the counts are like and what the weather's like. Last year, we had several rain days, too much snow, it was just too bitter cold, opening day of firearm season, just things like that, the weather we can't control, so we don't know how long it's gonna take, so usually anywhere between, with the one team and then myself and Judy, anywhere from December through you know, early February sometimes.
How many
I'll make
survey,
the motion to
how many survey parcels did you have?
We survey the entire county. Yep, the entire county. We won't know until after that's done what the treatment acreage is going to be, but the entire county is surveyed every year.
The question that I have, the replacement is at $8 per hour.
Correct. The returner is 10 because she's been with me for 8 years.
Right, but I just wanted that clarified.
Yes.
Thanks. I missed that one.
Okay.
You made that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Support. Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Don't sit down yet, Gina.
Nope.
Okay. We have, we need to make another contingent type agreement with the aerial imagery. There's, with contiguous counties, you want to explain that one too, Jim?
There is a regional GIS group that I belong with. I mean, it's not a formal one, but it's, you know, Gladwin, Midland, Bay, Isabella, Gratiot, Saginaw. So we always, you know, get together every quarter, do some discussing. So it was 2015, their year to go out for new aerial imagery. The imagery we have is good imagery. We went through the state's program with Microsoft Bing Maps and was able to acquire that imagery at a pretty good price. That not happening again, we're offered to be part of this, what we call the Saginaw Bay region. They're going out for imagery. They included us in that request for proposals to acquire that imagery. So until such time as we know what those costs are, then we'll have to make our decision on whether we are in or out. So my request was just allow me to, you know, pursue joining this contract for the bids and looking for funding once we realize the numbers as, what the cost would be to try to find the financing to go forward and acquire this new imagery. And new DEMs, digital elevation models.
Anybody got a problem with it?
I don't, no, because we're not locked into anything, and what she's doing is doing good research.
Correct.
So we would we would be able to understand what it costs.
Okay, I'll make the motion to authorize you to pursue that plan.
I'll support that.
Motion supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, as I think everybody realizes, we've started working on the 2015 budget, and some of the things that we need to keep in control are unnecessary or unmandated spending for the balance of the year. So we would ask all department heads to cooperate, and unless they absolutely have to have it in this calendar year, or this fiscal, to delay the spending the money until next year. So this we did, as you remember, last year on the quill purchases, and so we need to once more make sure everybody knows, if you don't absolutely have to have it, if it's just a restock or to create an inventory, please delay it until it absolutely has to, you have to have it. So that was just a point that came up that we were looking at closely at the numbers. Yeah, I'll make the motion, or Sandy made the motion.
Motion supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So that will be the phrase on supply purchases, and a memo will be sent to the department heads then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura. All right, the 2014 MAC conference is scheduled for September the 14th to the 16th, and it's at the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island. And Commissioner Altman would like to attend this conference. The travel expenses and the conference registration is $359, and the lodging is estimated $175 per night. And this would be paid from the 101-101-860-000. But I've been told also that there is a max that we permit for about $100 for lodging.
Yeah, so I have to pick up the other $75, which I will.
And I think it's good that one commissioner goes and brings the information back.
When Linda saw this, she said, "Why aren't you going, Donna?" Because I don't want to. How's that?
Well, I'm on that committee though, I'm on the MAC committee, so.
So I'll make the motion to authorize Commissioner Altman.
I support that, but I have a comment on it, Terry, and I apologize for missing the last meeting, but I had doctor's appointments. And I'm been looking at the MAC stuff that they passed out at the last meeting. One is a video, MAC SC video, and it's got a chain of stuff. It says made in China on the side of that box. As a board member, I find that objectionable. You know, and I think we should enter into our minutes, just saying we can take them to that meeting with her, that we don't appreciate their using our dues money to purchase stuff out of the country. And in light of that, we have the Pure Michigan thing going on, and buy locally and all that. We need to do something like this, just kind of smacks me a little bit.
And I'm wondering if they will let her attend, because we haven't paid the $8,000 dues from this next year too, so. But just tell them it's
So
the
we can
checks,
put that,
checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
and let her take it with her, that'd be fine.
Madam Clerk, you have
Yep,
that?
it's in there.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to authorize her.
I'll support that she's going.
Motion is supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, that's all I've got in concerning the finances.
Other than, we've sent the budgets out to departments to have back with us by the 18th. That's correct?
Yeah, and then, yeah, and the, just for the board's information, I've got the hard cap information on the healthcare for 2015 fiscal calendar. $5,857 per single, $12,250 per two-party, and $15,975 per family. And that factor is going to be critical, in as much as most of the impact of Obamacare is yet to be felt. It will be felt after the election, and it will be nationally, and it will be significant. I have been told by informed sources in the insurance industry that we could expect as much as a 25% increase. Dirk and Doug have already begun to search the market so that we don't limit our options to renewing with Blue Cross. We're going after Humana, United Healthcare, Aetna, Travelers, and other healthcare company providers so that we can make certain that we get the very best price that's available to us in the marketplace this time, so.
I apologize, I missed those numbers. Would you repeat them for me, please?
Sure, 58, 57 single, 12,250 two-party, $15,975 family.
What was that again, 15?
Now, what was it again?
What was the family again,
15,975. And those factors we'll have to incorporate into the budgeting. Laura has provided me with the breakdown on the demographics, and we've been looking closely at all that. But we're ahead of the game. We're ahead of the curve substantially. We just got the renewal for the Central Michigan District Health Department, and a 14.7% increase for an October 1 effective. But our rate last year, Dennis, I don't know if you remember, was a 15% bump. So that is in line with the current market conditions, an additional 15. But in January, after all this, the impact of the Affordable Care Act hits, you will see a dramatic change because of what actions then are going to be taken in the private sector, especially by all the companies that have like 50 employees. They're going to make major changes.
And we need to really make sure that Doug and Dirk also consider a December 1 renewal versus a January 1 renewal to try to stay behind the trend versus, or I'm sorry, ahead of the trend versus behind the trend. Because if we sign January 1, we're going to be subject to that. Whereas if we do a December 1 renewal, we might stay behind for a little bit.
It all depends, right? They'll look at it every possible way, or they know what they're doing, and that happened a year ago. That was a possibility to move your effective date back into the other calendar. Whether or not that will have a dramatic impact now is yet to be seen. But
Well, it was interesting yesterday at our data meeting because Dan who's the owner of IT Rec, just got his quote and he has to decide, and his went up 40% for healthcare costs for his employees. 40%.
yeah, a lot of it depends on what pool
Yeah.
that you're in. And the way they do the underwriting and pricing that out has not only to do with the utilization and the claims flow, but the overall makeup of how, the term we use in insurance is how sick the group is. And we have zero control over that. It is what it is. We don't have that many options with Blue, especially to get into a different underwriting pool. So, but the bottom line is, we know what we're doing, and Doug and Dirk know what they're doing, and we'll come up with the best option that's available. Keep in mind that, remember, we have not bid this in 10 years. We've been automatically renewing with Blue Cross, which was not good business. That we should have bid it every couple of years at least. So at this point, we're attempting to make some chicken salad out of chicken manure again. So we'll take it from there.
And we need to take and look into the budget, and that's why we're starting now, get
Yep.
going. But revenue sharing, I hope it's all there. And also, we need to look at, I'm sure it's gonna hurt the cities a lot, personal tax, we'll roll back on that. I don't know if any money's gonna come out of that. And then the issue that come up with the courts, where the cost can't be,
Oh, I can speak to that. I spent some time with Casperson, Tom Casperson, the state senator from up in the UP. I was at the Novi meeting, and he's sponsoring the bill to create the legislation necessary to empower the courts to charge court costs. And they're moving ahead with it. I've talked to Johnson alone about it, Bull and all of them. They need to recognize the impact of that on all 83 counties in the state, as well as how it's going to hurt some, obviously, to a greater extent than others. And that number, by the way, on that, our revenue sharing is 407,000 of it come with no hooks this year, and 102,000 is subject to the economic vitality incentive program. So we're not really, and Christie and Laura and all of us were alerted to this at the time. And what they're making us do is give the state a plan as to how we intend to cover our MERS deficit, which is currently 78% funding, and the unfunded liability we have for retirees' health care. So they just want to know what our plan is, and they'll release the other 102,000.
there's a lot of things we gotta look at this year for our budget.
What I do? I do that.
Is that all you have?
That's it. Thanks.
Okay, committee reports. You want to do individual reports and just do your committee at the same time? Whatever you did on data. Dennis, you have anything?
No.
Sharon, you're up.
Do you want my commissioner's report, or do you
Do
want the?
commissioner report. And
Okay.
just, you can mix data right
I can probably put them together, it's kind of intertwined. I attended the Hay County meeting on the 14th, and on the 19th of August, I attended the Human Services Coordinating Body Strong Families, Safe Children. It's busy. From that, Shelter House will be honoring Domestic Violence Prevention Month in October. The Arnold Center is holding regular auctions to raise funds. Check their website for details, and they will also accept donated items for those sales. Mid-Michigan Health will be holding assemblies in the county high schools focusing on preventing brain injuries. The Mental Health Department is focusing on dangers in social media and will be presenting information in county schools. The Community Action Committee reported that fuel money will run out August 29th, and there will be no money available until November. The mission in Beaverton handed out 360 boxes of food to feed 1,800 people in July. And it was also reported that 64% of the children in Gladwin County qualify for free lunch. United Way campaign begins in September. I attended the library board on August 19th. The Friends of the Library book sale will be September 18th and 19th. Along with those for the July, there were 4,103 people used the library in the month of July, and 1,684 used the computers. Those are your tax dollars at work. I hope you keep them there. I attended the addressing meeting for the Beaverton Activity Center on Wednesday, August 20th. Over 800 letters went out asking for financial support for the Step Up campaign. I urge all to support with whatever financial support you can. It's a great community building project. Attended the Finance Committee of the Whole on the 21st and attended DATA on the 25th of August. We discussed the need for a phone system. The county has never had the money to upgrade the phone system. So what Bob Fry has been doing is buying newer used parts from eBay. And now that we have the new fiber, we need to try for another grant for a system upgrade. IT Right was at this meeting. They sell Digium, but since we don't have that system, Dan said it's no big deal, just give them the contract information for who contracts our phones now. And Bob said we could use John Pung and should figure about $4,000 on our budget for next year for help and support from him, from John Pung. Currently, we have about 92 phone lines and about 100 phones, and to upgrade all of them would be about $50,000. We discussed the coordination of hardware, software updates, and that 24 to 25 be replaced each year in a 5-year rotation. We need to budget for that. PC installation is covered in our IT Right contract, so it's no additional cost if we stick to the main contract with them. We discussed the cost of servers and their upgrades. Dan from IT Right explained they do purchasing all the time. They always try to compare, get pricing. Purchasing is done for PCs and things for the servers. And if we get storms, Bob is currently the one who kind of checks to see if it's working, but IT Right can do that. It is imperative that the people that work here in the courthouse do not stop Bob and say, we have a problem. It is imperative that they do the ticket system, notify IT Right. IT Right in turn then can kind of get a hold of Bob, but stopping him and not putting the tickets through is creating, it looks like IT Right's not doing their job, and that isn't what it's from. Okay, backups are done in-house. The server service, don't you love the terminology, will be about $500 per server. We have 4 per year. Dan said that we need to come up with a policy that states how long we want to keep things on backups and archives. Currently, we have a double system. And how do we want to do that, and how do we want to continue with that? They're always looking at advancements and planning how to fix problems. Ray Hartwell was at the meeting. He explained the jail is getting new security cameras, and MMRMA will pay half of the total, which is around $35,000 to upgrade our system. And that's going to be essential because cameras are absolutely essential in the jail. And so we have to make sure they are working well. The county website's updated by Bob, and Dan said he's familiar with all that, and they will, IT Right will handle that website, and it's not going to be any more charge to us. We had a lengthy discussion on how IT care and maintenance will be handled with their company when Bob Fry no longer is employed by the county for IT services. They are willing to have a person here 1 to 2 days a week. If there is a problem, they can send a tech to take care of the problem. They are into knowing how things are. And personally, I'm very pleased that we have them because I think it has been extremely helpful. if we want a contract with IT Right is for $22,000 a year, we may have to add 15,000 to that, okay? But, if we add another 10% to our budget from last year, that should cover all the computer upgrades. And it was discussed to have a monthly data meeting scheduled, and an on-site person from IT Right will be here. And that's my responsibility to set up a specific day that that's going to happen. Dan talked about that there was not an overflow of tickets or problems that they anticipated. Bob said it's because they're stopping him, okay? This cannot keep going. People have to contact the IT Right. And we asked Bob when he was planning to retire, he said it was Christmas, and Don and I both said that we thought he was retiring in September. So obviously, that's something we're going to have to make sure we understand.
I would like to add one thing that, to what Sharon mentioned. She and I took long notes. This was a long meeting and a detailed meeting. We have a substantial financial obligation coming up on our hardware systems, our software systems, our servers, et cetera. And we have that listed. But again, it's one of those things where we need to have it planned and be ready for it, because some of these may fail and have to be replaced instantly. But other than that, we need to actually factor them in as we're going forward.
Well, the thing that works with that, Commissioner Virgo, is that when the elevator broke, it was absolutely apparent to the public that they did not have access to the various floors in this building. When a server goes down, the public isn't going to know, but everybody that works in this building is going to be well aware, and it's going to create, and it would need fixing with the immediacy that happened, and that's,
They told us about $5,000 per server, and we got four that are just, four of them right in the one.
Yes, we have four.
So,
I'm sorry, did you say 500 and you said 5,000?
it's 5,000, I'm sorry. If
Okay.
I said 500, I
I
was
wrote
incorrect.
500, so I may have just heard you wrong.
I
Thank
thought
you.
it was.
That's why God put erasers on the end of pencils.
Well, I'm
Yes.
using a pen, but it still looks good.
Well,
Yes.
scratch
Okay.
over.
Thank you.
That is your own, and so
Let me
forth.
ask you this question.
Did it say 500 in the data?
Yeah, it says 500
Okay,
in the
get
data.
it.
500
Oh,
per
it's supposed to
server.
be 500.
Okay.
Should we
I've
look
got-
at
I've
maybe,
got average 5,000.
Yes,
Okay,
that's what I had.
I just wanted to correct for the minute.
Yep.
should we possibly look at our own IT person again?
Do not know if I'm looking
I would say that while we have the contract with IT Right, first of all, you're not going to get I guess bottom line is, no, I think we ought to work with IT Right for at least a year without Bob, and be open, if they're meeting here with us once a month and are cognizant, and we get the reports and we have the understanding of what this is and how it's working, I don't think we can afford to have our own person on site. And that's my opinion.
Well, I've got some ideas I'm looking into on numbers that I'll share with you when we get a chance. It's right at the beginning stage of it right now, Sharon, so it's not appropriate to talk about it.
Right.
We'll go over it.
That's it? Yes?
On those servers, the 4 servers, we had a server in the treasurer's office. I'm sure they included that, but we paid for that server. So it wouldn't come out of general fund if something were to happen to it, if you're looking at additional funds there. And we just purchased that. And we
Yes.
got a big enough one that if something happened to the main server, that the county could move everything over to that to keep things running. I don't know if IT is aware of that.
They very well could be, or we can make sure that they are.
Okay,
Send me a memo on that, or just make sure, send it to them and let them know for sure, so that that's part of the information.
okay.
You
Sharon,
do understand that sometimes when these meetings start, my eyes glaze over because they speak in a totally different language,
Yeah.
trying to learn it.
One, I don't know if, Sharon, I didn't pick up if you mentioned this or not, but they told us that we need to plan for about $20,000 per year on the replacing of about 20 machines, 20 of our
Yes,
computers.
I said that,
Okay,
yes,
that's just in my notes, and I didn't.
okay.
That's all you have.
That's my report.
Commissioner Berglund,
My turn? Okay, attended the Michigan Republican State Committee convention over the weekend in Novi. We took 6 delegates, 6 aldermen from Gladwin. It was a very good event, especially since most of them had never attended a political convention. It was interesting. The airport meeting, Sandy will give you some details on that. The Central Michigan District Health Department, as I mentioned, Beaverton City, in the Finance Committee, the data meeting, and Terry and I took a forester out to the 40 acres on Clendenning Road the other day, and they've given us some figures, and I believe that it's time we make a move on that. The forester we took is a degree from Michigan Tech. He's a local Gladwin native. He is actually a forestry degree forester for Bierwire, B-I-E-W-E-R, out of McBain. And the figures he gave us were approximately 236 to 280 cords of red pine on a thin cut, where they said to go every other row, and that was done a few years ago in the same stand. This would create a revenue to the county of about between $13,000 and $15,000. And I'll make a motion that we retain the services of Zach Cameron as our consultant to make this happen. So, support.
motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi,
Opposed? Motion
Can
carries.
you spell that name of the business for me one more time?
With the
Byware,
B-I-E-W-E-R.
B-I-E-W-E-R.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I've got this stuff, Laura, and pictures. Oh, there's some really, let me give you guys these pictures, because this is, here.
And we checked around for the price and what they're offering, and he's offering more than,
Yeah, we cut the middleman out, essentially, because we went straight to the.
the middleman wanted $100 to take it and look at it, or up to $200, and also wanted at least 13% of what was taken. So we cut that person out.
Yeah, we're going.
So when's that gonna happen?
It won't happen till this winter. So we won't get the revenue, but, until later, but, it's still, that's the right thing to do as far as the management of that tree stand. Terry and I also looked at possibly putting the 40 acres up for sale, but the real estate market is so soft that I don't believe that would be in the best interest of the county at this point. That's a beautiful stand of red pine, and by the thin cutting, the other remaining trees will grow faster, taller, and be more valuable than when they're harvested.
And they're using them for telephone poles, so that's what.
That's all I got.
Okay. Commissioners, Alderman.
Let's see, on 8/12, I attended both the Grimm and Barrett Township meetings, both are doing well. On the 13th, I attended the EDC meeting in Beaverton, and this group has a number of projects in the works. The ORV Poker Run was successful, and I'm proud to say that Sandy's Market was the first stop on the route. They had a good turnout and a beautiful day for the very first run of this. On 8/14, I attended the airport meeting. A copy of the 5-year plan, I think you all have a copy of that, was given to us. And at the airport, they're planning on the Thunder on the Strip in September and a fly-in color tour in October. And I have a flyer up there if anybody would like to have a copy of that. I have a couple of them. Terry just gave me one too, so. On the 14th, I attended the Wixom Lake Improvement Board meeting. They are satisfied with the spray program from the lake. They think they're quite successful out there with that. On the 18th, I attended the MAC meeting in Grayling, and there was a big discussion up there on these COW meetings, and a lot of counties are doing these now. I have some information that I brought back on that, but I think we're doing it right. That's all they talked about. They also discussed the loss of revenue sharing and the loss of the personal property tax. On the 20th, I attended the Secord Township meeting. Their fire department has just been awarded a $153,000 grant, which they're pretty proud of. And what they're not so proud of is their cell tower is still not up and running and probably won't be until the end of September. On the 21st, I had met with the Finance Committee of the Committee of the Whole here, and then last night, we attended the Council of Local Government at the Clement Township Hall. That's my report. I did the airport. Didn't I do the airport? Yeah, I said we got a 5-year plan.
Oh,
Thank you.
What are they using their grant for in Secord? Did they say just a truck or?
Equipment,
Okay.
equipment, they got it for equipment.
All set?
Yeah, I just was, personal question.
The 13th attended the Sage Township meeting. They were looking at millage for mosquitoes, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna do $25 per parcel instead. And they feel that people, for $25, you can't buy 3 cans off, you know? So they figured that'll work better than doing a millage. So that's, sounds like that's a go. Attended the 18th city meeting. They've come up with a new ordinance on ordinance number 328, and maybe some of you see it in the paper, about firecrackers and different devices that you send into the air. So that was quite a section. And I'm sure some of the townships are going to look at that later on too. Excuse me. 19th, Commissioner Burgle and myself met with Joel Johnson, and we spent 2 hours. When he left, his ears were ringing. We discussed a lot of issues about money, and it seems like north of 20 that no one has kind of forgotten about, and no one is recognized. So we talked a lot about that and the revenue that's being taken away from the counties to fund the state. 20th, I attended the Lake Improvement Board for Contos, Pratt Lake, and Wiggins Lake. Everything is going well there. 21st, Finance. The 23rd, Hazardous Waste Collection. Mrs. Bodner was there, and future Commissioner Hinman was there. Turned out real great. We had 160-some tires, lots of TVs, lots of computers, all that good stuff. We don't have a tonnage yet, what that was, but it was nice to get the tires out of the ditches and down to them. So that really worked well. 25th, local government, and Gina come up and talked to them. It was a good meal. You missed out on some good brownies and some good things
well,
there.
Clement always has good food.
And tonight, I'm missing out on mental health. They're aware of that. That's no problem there. Also, I don't know if you got one in the mail, but the Farm Bureau dinner is coming up at the Free Methodist Church, September 9th, and you have to notify them by the 29th if you're going to be there or not. And if you want to see the letter or something, I'll show it to you later. We lost a couple veterans. Donald Wesley Hall, seems like I already had that, but City of Beaverton, World War II. Vince Spra, it's Tina from Sage Township. I think I got that wrong. I think it's Winchester Way would be in Sugar Springs. So I'll talk to him about that. And there was a Mr. Price here earlier about smoking. We'll take and maybe put some new signs out front and direct them to the smoking area. We'll take a look into that. So, anything else? Board?
Oh, I have a question, because this is Tuesday night, we had discussed the possibility of no longer doing Tuesday night meetings depending on the attendance of the public. Yes, I just wondered what we were going to do with that.
I don't have a problem.
Since I made the motion that we go to night meetings, and they have deteriorated with attendance, and we said that we would look at this, I'll make a motion that's going, starting with the second meeting in September, we go back to our 9 o'clock Tuesday morning meeting.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pastor, you got that right?
As to the committee of the whole meetings also, we've reached a point now where there's not really much to be gained at this point by continuing the committee of the whole. But in the future, should it be a case where we're getting into these details and things, then we can call a committee of the whole meeting on an ad hoc approach to it, depending on what is on the agenda. But in the last 2 or 3 committee of the whole meetings, it really hasn't served any real purpose to have all 5 of us be here. So,
Since of finance, I would like to go at least maybe 2 more meetings until we can take and, because the budgets will be coming in,
yeah.
and I'd like to have everybody sit in the back room or wherever and go over some things with us.
See, I disagree with you, Commissioner Murgo, because I, just like I mean, Gina did some explaining tonight, but had we not had all of that discussion at the committee of the whole, it would have been a much more extensive conversation for her. And I like the fact that I can ask the department heads or the people, and we're looking at with data, the amount of money that needs to be, that we're going to have to look at putting in. I definitely would like to go at least through September with 2 committee of the whole meetings, knowing that one of them I'm going to miss.
I think as soon as things maybe settle down a little bit after.
I apologize, I was attempting to verbalize that when I said that there is a time when we need everybody present because of the nature of what's being discussed. But as to make it an automatic or routine, I don't see that that's gaining us anything. But I understand, that it depends on what's on, like you and I spent a lot of time on that data stuff, and everybody needs to be in the loop on that. But if it gets settled into where it's routine, then I don't see that we're gaining anything from it. That's all I'm stepping saying.
I think after we work through the budget and everything, I think
Yep.
we'll be set then.
But I'll consider myself subdued.
You want to, do we need that emotion?
No, because it's gonna be on the agenda by week, what you directly need to do based on the agenda for the finance committee. So if there's a structured agenda to where you feel as though everybody needs to attend, then you put it on the weekly agenda as a committee of the whole. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Write it up that way.
And please excuse me for the one in September.
Yes, that was in the.
Now, we're making you fly back on a chartered plane from Friendship, Indiana, so that you can be present at this.
And that's going to happen.
Not gonna happen?
No. Dennis will show up. He's going to be here.
Is there any public comments? Charlie, you want to say anything, or?
Put me on the hook here.
Okay.
Dennis, I'm glad to see that you're back in the saddle again.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with you all starting in January. Thank you.
Gina?
I do have a couple more things. One of the things that we talked about at the committee of the whole finance was for EDCs requesting of me to do some GIS plotting with the broadband surveys that they got. And so I sent Bob an email saying, hey, somebody said that you were gonna have eJourney do that, and he responded back that no, they really didn't want eJourney to do that, that they do want me as a county to still be able to do that. So I need to come back through either finance or data, whichever one. I'm thinking maybe data, because I bumped into somebody from Beaverton Schools on that request, and that is definitely not something that they can afford, but they do want to be able to come back to data and kind of plead their case and maybe see if we can't work out something better with them. So I figure between the two, should we go to data and then finance, or how do you guys want to do that?
I think it should go to Dan.
Why not? Okay. Then pending then whatever decision comes out of data is that it has to come to the meeting here.
Come to the board. I think no matter what we get out of data, we'll bring it to the board, right? Okay. So that's kind of what I'll just relay to them, and then let them know as soon as the data meeting is scheduled, then I will inform them they can attend. No, EDC, Bob's probably gonna wanna do it as soon as possible, if that's something that he is gonna want me to do, would be my understanding, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else? Motion to receive and file?
So
So, or motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,